Okay, we'll be looking at the factors leading to increased emission of greenhouse gases. For greenhouse gases, we are focused on carbon dioxide and methane. Okay, so we understand that there are natural sources of greenhouse gases, like how we breathe out carbon dioxide. Right, there are forest fires that happen naturally. There are volcanic eruptions that will spill out lots of carbon dioxide and methane, among other gases and other natural sources. However, right, if we look at the data for the past 2000 years, the rise in atmospheric carbon dioxide and methane in the recent years cannot be explained by the natural sources alone, right? It cannot be like in the past 200 years or so, we have like so much more frequent volcanic eruptions, for example. Right, so we will therefore have to look at the man-made sources of carbon dioxide and methane. That's why for climate change, we call it man-made or anthropological climate change, because the increased emission of greenhouse gases really are due to human activities. We'll be looking at three human activities, namely the burning of fossil fuels, the clearing of forests, and the increasing consumption of meat. So firstly, for the burning of fossil fuels, we know that the world's demand for energy is increasing, and with that, the burning of fossil fuels also is increasing, because fossil fuels remains our primary source of energy. The graph here will show you in the up to 2021 at least, right, that the energy given by coal, oil, and natural gas are still by far the largest compared to other cleaner sources of energy. And even among the coal, oil, and natural gas, the consumption of these fossil fuels are also increasing, right? So the reason, or some reasons, why the world's demand for energy is increasing may be due to the increasing industrialization, our consumer mindset, right? Always buying new stuff, so therefore the manufacturing demand, continued development in our transportation system, the world's population is increasing, and so on. And of course, the digitalization also will play a part in increasing the use of electricity, therefore the energy consumption. Right, so the graph here will show you the increasing energy consumption in the world up to 2015, and of course by 2024 now, right, the consumption will be even higher. Right, you can also see by the colors, right, the different sources of energy, and still by far and increasing also would be the fossil fuels, right, the fuel oil, the gas, diesel oil, LPG, which is type of natural gas, right, natural gas itself, the motor gasoline, and so on. And this graph again shows you the increasing consumption of energy, and there is this comparison with the increase in the population, that as the population increase, the energy consumption also increase, but increases faster some more, right, again because of other factors. Right, so the burning of fossil fuels, of course, will increase the atmospheric carbon dioxide concentration, because fossil fuels are carbon-based, and burning of fossil fuels releases the carbon as carbon dioxide. Right, so these two pie charts shows you the kind of greenhouse gas that is emitted into the atmosphere. Right, so you can see that carbon dioxide is the major emission, with 65% coming from fossil fuel, another 11% of the greenhouse gases coming from the clearing of forests, which is our next factor that we are going to look at. Yep, and on the right, the pie chart shows you that the source of greenhouse gas would still be the burning of fossil fuels, as we can see in the generation of power, in manufacturing, in fossil fuel operations, and in transportation. So all these are involving the burning of fossil fuels. Right, so the next factor we're going to look at would be the clearing of forests. Right, so forests are described as carbon sinks, right, because forests trees, right, contains a lot of plant materials, a lot of biomolecules. And as we know, plants do not eat, right, so they get their biomolecules via their own synthesis, right, and it is done through photosynthesis Kelvin cycle, right. So when the plants grow, whether it's to grow bigger or growing new plants, they make new biomolecules, and biomolecules contains carbon. So the carbons that are found in these new biomolecules that are made in the plants are found or are obtained from carbon dioxide through the carbon fixation in the Kelvin cycle. Right, so that's why forests are again described as carbon sinks, because in an area of forest, it contains a large mass of plant materials and therefore a lot of carbons stored in these plant materials. Right, so when we clear the forest, this reduces the capacity for us to capture the carbon dioxide from the atmosphere via photosynthesis. Not only do we capture less carbon dioxide, we are also releasing carbon dioxide back into the atmosphere, because the way that we clear forest, it may be burning down the trees, which we see in Indonesia, or we cut down the trees and let them rot, which we see in some other parts of the world. Right? So whether it is burning or decomposition, the carbon stored in the plant materials in the trees would be released back into the atmosphere as carbon dioxide. And also, without the canopy cover, right, the forest floor would be increasing in temperature because of direct sunlight, which increases the decomposition of other organic materials by the microbes, the bacteria at the forest floor. Right, so increasing decomposition also releases more carbon dioxide back into the atmosphere. Right, so the effect of clearing of forest is like twofold, right? We reduces the capacity to remove carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, and then we also add back more carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. Right, so this graph shows you the annual loss of tropical primary forests. So we are not even looking at secondary forests. We are not looking at forests in the temperate regions, right? Just the tropical primary forest, mainly found in Southeast Asia, Indonesia especially, Malaysia also, and also in the Amazon, right? So even last year, right, we lost almost 4 million hectares of tropical forest in the Southeast Asia, Amazon, and large part of it is lost through lawn fire related loss, meaning losses that are not due to natural forest fire. Right, so would be basically deforestation, right? And these two pie charts shows you different reasons in different countries for deforestation, right? So in the Amazons in Brazil, it would be mostly due to clearing of forests for land, for raising cattle, and also for agriculture. And then in Canada, not tropical forests, but still a substantial amount of forest nonetheless. Right, the main reason would be for agriculture as well as for energy, right? Whether it is to obtain the oil and gas or to build hydroelectric dams. Okay, so different reasons for deforestation, some of which link to our next factor, right? The cattle ranging for our choice of food. Right, so next one, choice of food, especially for our increasing consumption of meat in our diet, which is strongly linked to the increasing greenhouse gas emission. So in this graph, right, we can see the contribution of greenhouse gas by different food products. The plant-based foods products are at the bottom, right, with the grains, the tofu, soybeans, and the nuts. And you can see the amount of greenhouse gas associated with these plant products are much smaller compared to the animal products, and the highest is the beef and the mutton. Right, so reasons why the meat consumption increases greenhouse gas consumption, emission rather, is because in order to raise such animals, it requires lands which are usually obtained from obtained by the clearing of forests, as you have seen just now, right, in our pie chart, especially for the Amazon. And also, right, we also need farmlands to produce the animal feeds. So whether it is soybeans, sometimes they are fed with wheat, grass, and other plants products, right? All these are farmed using lands cleared from forests as well. There was also the increased need to refrigerate during storage. But if you go to NTUC, you can see that, right? That the meat are either in the freezer or in refrigerators. But some of the plant products do not require refrigeration, right? Some of the fruits, some of the vegetables are left in the shelves without refrigeration. Right, so the storage, right, of meat product also requires more energy. And also, right, among the animals, they are not equal. Some of the animals are considered or described as ruminant animals because in their gut they contain bacteria that helps to digest plant materials like cellulose, and the digestion produces a lots of methane, which is a very potent greenhouse gas, about 25 times that of carbon dioxide in terms of the global warming potential. Right, so the production of methane, which will be released into the atmosphere from the animals when they burp or when they fart, would increase the greenhouse gas emission and the enhance the greenhouse effect. Right. Okay, so this graph shows you how a change in diet helps to mitigate the release of greenhouse gas. GHG here stands for greenhouse gas. Right, so the x-axis, the unit is gigaton of carbon dioxide equivalent per year. Right, so switching our diet helps to really mitigate the release of a large amount of greenhouse gases every year. All right, so if we can take on a full vegan diet, right, then that will give the most substantial reduction in the greenhouse gas emission. But for those of us who still enjoy our meat, right, take a look at the second last one, the climate carnivore, limited ruminant meat and dairy, meaning we just choose to eat less beef, less mutton, right? Replace the meat with maybe chicken or fish, for example. That already helps to reduce the emission of greenhouse gas by actually quite a bit. So actually limited change, right? If you think about it, we are still eating our normal diet, just less beef, less mutton. That already helps a lot, right? So that also points to why food choice, the increasing meat consumption, especially the ruminant animals, is a major factor in the greenhouse gas or increase in greenhouse gas emission. Okay, so that's all for this video.